Hi, welcome to Easter Egg, where we're looking at moments that are associated with Easter, and we're trying to learn some lessons, maybe find something that we've never thought of before, find something that kind of stretches our mind and hearts just a little bit. In Luke 23, verse 34, Jesus, after he says, "Father, forgive them," he then adds this phrase, "They don't know what they're doing." I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to date myself, maybe date some of you. The guy is 37 years old. He's thin, almost frail, balding, wearing glasses. He is an electronics buff. He is a law-abiding man, timid, described by most of the people who knew him. Certainly not the description that you would give of vigilante. Certainly not the description that you would use to describe a Robin Hood or a Lone Ranger. But that didn't bother the American public, because there's a man that stepped into the pages of history and across the headlines of newspapers all across the world. His name, Bernard Hugo Getz. He blasted 4 would-be muggers in a New York subway, and he instantly became a hero. A popular thug buster, and those thug buster t-shirts began to appear on the streets of New York, and people bought them as quick as they came out. A rock group wrote a song about his honor. People gave and raised money to go toward his defense. Radio talk show hosts were deluged with callers. Bernard Getz was an American fantasy come true. He did what every citizen dreamed of doing. He punched the villain in the nose. He clobbered evil over the head. This unassuming hero embodied a nationwide, even worldwide anger, a passion for revenge. The outpouring of support is clear evidence that that's how he was greeted. People were mad. People were angry. There was pent-up, boiling anger. And basically, Bernie Getz that day said, "I ain't taking it no more." And out he comes with a hot pistol in his hand. We live in a world that's tired of being bullied. We live in a world where people read news stories or hear news stories like that, and deep down inside we go, way to go, way to punch back. Because that's who we are. Sometimes our desire to get revenge, to dispense justice, is so great that we cheer on the hero and we love when the vigilante steps in. One of my favorite fictional characters is Batman, the Dark Knight, that vigilante who brings order to Gotham City, and he rules the night with fear. And he becomes the thug buster. And it's the stuff of heroes. At the end of the day, when we look at stories like that, real and fictitious, we have to ask ourselves, well, what does it say about us? What does it say about the world that we live in? Now, of all the things that are going on the cross, there's a moment that we all get a little bit uncomfortable. Because Jesus, in the moment that he's dying and he's being killed, he's being murdered by people who have no right to do it, yet have the authority to do it. He asked God to forgive them, and he says why? Because they don't really understand what they're doing. Those words sting. They sting us because we live in a world where we would just rather get back at people than really try to understand what they're doing and why. And yet Jesus was able to love and forgive and extend grace. And he didn't let anger and vigilance drive his reaction. Whew, I don't know about you, but I have a long way to go in that department sometimes. I bet you do too. And yet, on the cross, Jesus recognized what was happening around him. And he simply said, they don't know what they're doing. Paul, years later, would write something similar when he would write about himself. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I do the things I do. Now, it doesn't justify doing wrong. That's not what this is about. It's not saying that you need to ignore evil. It's not saying that at all. As a matter of fact, we need to fight back and push back against evil. But how we do it and the way we do it, and doing it in a way that honors God, really does matter and probably deserves a lot more thought than we want to give it. See, one of the amazing things that happens at the cross is that we're reminded that we live in a world of darkness, and Jesus comes along and he lights candles. And he brings light into that darkness with his love. Now, once we understand the evil of the world just a little bit better, it gives us a greater desire to want to save it, to help it. And it gives us an opportunity to figure out ways to reach in and minister and make an impact. Does it mean that you're going to lose all those feelings of wanting to get back at somebody? No, but you got to let those go, and you already know that. Does it mean it's okay to be a thug buster? Nah, really, that's probably not going to be healthy, and there's probably not really a career in that. Leave that to Batman. But at the end of the day, remember the words of Jesus on the cross. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. We live in a world of people that don't know what they're doing. And if they really knew what they were doing, they would have to come to grips with the fact that they're just being used as agents and tools of Satan himself to accomplish evil in a world that Jesus came to save. That's why Jesus went to the cross, because the world needed to be saved. And he understood that he was doing it for people who had no idea how badly they needed it. I needed it. You do too. And hopefully you have that relationship with Jesus Christ where he has saved you, because that's what Easter is all about. If not, give us a shout. We'll be happy to help you with that. But one of the surprising things about Easter are those phrases that Jesus uttered on the cross in the midst of one of the darkest days in all of human history. And in and out of that darkness, he said, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. I'm glad Jesus knew what he was doing, because that changes everything for me and for you. And that's our Easter egg for this episode. Next time, we'll get together again and we'll continue to explore and see what we can discover about Easter together.